Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of News for Normies. If you have some normies in your life that need to hear some news or just generally, unplugged from news and politics, what's going on today, I highly encourage you to share this video with them, hit the like button, and let me know your comments down below, especially when we get toward the end of this video. Things are going to get a little spicy. Also, I'm going to leave all my social medias down in the comment or the description below. If you want to follow me, I would greatly appreciate it on your social media device or app of choice. So, update on the Cybertruck video, or I'm sorry, the Cybertruck story that I talked about last week. If you don't know about this, a man by the name of Matthew Livelsberger drove a rented Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Vegas, then allegedly took his own life with a Desert Eagle handgun, and a massive explosion went off with the gasoline and fireworks he had in the vehicle. When I talked about this last week, I had said that it seems very weird how no muzzle flash was really detected on any security cameras from him taking his own life, sadly. Well, thank you to Brandon Herrera for giving a little bit of credence to that story. If you don't know who Brandon Herrera is, he is a popular gun tuber on YouTube, and he actually did a video where he shot a Desert Eagle handgun inside his own Cybertruck to see if a muzzle flash could be seen from outside the vehicle. They did it twice, once with the windows rolled up and once with the windows rolled down, and neither time a muzzle flash was seen on the cameras that they had. So that does give some plausibility to that whole story. It's weird why that whole thing happened, but who knows? So if you want to see what I'm talking about, I'm going to leave a link to Brandon's video in the description below this video as well. And just to make it known, I am not affiliated with Brandon Herrera or his team at all, other than I watch the content that they put on YouTube and I enjoy it. So again, I'll leave that video down below for you to watch if you so choose to. So talking to more tragic news, the death toll from the LA wildfires has risen to at least 25 people, probably more now on the day I'm recording this, January 18th of 2025. And one person who sadly died from the wildfires was a former child actor named Rory Sykes. Now, I actually had to look up what he was in, and it doesn't look like the stuff that he was an actor in was got really popular or anything, but it's still sad that he lost his life. Especially considering that Rory had cerebral palsy and was unable to evacuate his home, even with the help of family that he lived with. So why do I bring this up? Because I will never stop pointing out the blatant hypocrisy of Democrat logic and policies. Because when a mass shooting happens, Democrats always like to scream and yell, if it saves one life, we need to ban these guns. But when their own policies fail, and many people have lost their lives, and even more have lost their entire livelihood, like their entire homes and everything they had is just gone, they never own up to it and never criticize their own for their own failures. Especially when an illegal alien named Juan Manuel Sierra Leyva was arrested in the LA area for going around setting shit on fire with a blowtorch. So, just to kind of quickly recap, their immigration policies have let an illegal alien in who is going around setting shit on fire. California has been Democrat controlled for at least 20 or 30 years, if not more. They claim to have all of these climate change policies in place, yet this wildfire is estimated to be like the most devastating one they've ever had. So, at what point do you look at your own party and say, what are you people doing? The estimated damages so far they're claiming that there's been $150 billion worth of damage because of these wildfires. And like I said, the death toll is at least 25 people that I know of. It is probably more since I last heard that number sometime this week. On this same note, a Democrat-run charity called Act Blue is taking donations for wildfire relief efforts. However, they're kind of just skimming 4% off the top for themselves. This group has also been known to like support really weird and shady other organizations too. I would highly encourage people to look into Act Blue and what all they're up to. So, I know the wildfires are still going on, and I'm really trying not to come off as crass or uncouth or what have you. But here is my message to Californians, okay? Once the dust settles from all this, you people have to reconsider your politics. I can't say it any other way. If you stay in California, you need to get involved with your politics at your local level, county level, all the way up to the statewide government, and quit voting for these same people who literally do not have your best interest at heart, which I would argue is most Democrats at this point, and you'll see why later in this video. Again, their policies let illegal aliens in, and one dude who was an illegal alien was arrested going around with a blowtorch. Not saying he caused one fire or any of them, but when you're in the middle of fire season and a guy's going around with a blowtorch, that's a big problem. So yeah, if you stay, y'all gotta quit voting for these same people. If you somehow leave California, if you have the money and means to leave California, leave your shitty politics there. I know when there was a mass exodus from California to places like Texas and Arizona and stuff, billboards were going up saying leave your California at home, and I highly agree with that message. Why would you think that if you leave California because of the awful politics, but you go somewhere else and vote in the same kind of people, that you won't get the same kind of results? I mean, that's the literal definition of insanity, doing the same shit over and over, expecting things to change. So again, not trying to sound, too harsh or whatever, but that's just the situation, Joe Biden, in his infinite wisdom, also came out and said that victims from the wildfires can apply to receive $770 in relief aid, which, again, I think is a slap in the face to people who've lost everything. And I'm never going to stop harping on this, but the U.S. government has given Ukraine like millions, if not billions of dollars in war aid or whatever, but yet people who lost their homes to a hurricane in North Carolina given $700. When a wildfire burns down people's homes, you can get $770, even though, those homes are probably $1 million plus. So the silver lining I can see here, and I don't know if this will come to fruition, this is just me speculating. I read an article a while back of a company here in Ohio that was trying to start building 3D printed homes. While this company was small and has, to my knowledge, only done a couple of homes so far, this could be a new technology that gets more prominent in the future, that can make rebuilding in places like LA or North Carolina or something quicker, possibly cheaper, than your typical wood framed home. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, just merely speculating, giving my opinion on that. So speaking of Joe Biden, he said on his last weekday in office, which would have been yesterday, January 17th, that the 28th Amendment is, quote, law of the land, end quote. Now, I just heard about this morning on Timcast IRL, which, was aired last night live, but then they put this audio up on Spotify. this is being called the Equal Rights Amendment, and according to AP News, it, quote, would ban discrimination based on gender, end quote. I don't know why this even needed to be a thing, and also, well, I'll get to also here in a second, considering that we have the Equal Rights Act that has been a law across the country since the 1960s. But the also here that I just kind of mentioned is the bigger issue of corporate media not criticizing Biden for just decreeing new amendments to the Constitution like a true fascist tyrant. You know, they always said, "Oh, Trump's a fascist. He's a tyrant. He's a dictator." But you get this one guy who's been in office for like 53 years or whatever, who's just like, new amendment, here you go. How the hypocrisy and mental gymnastics is truly tiring with these people. And I'm glad that they're losing ratings by the day. So, next story. Joe Biden gave his final address to the nation as president. And everything he said was just an absolute lie. From the state of the economy to foreign policy. People from both sides of the political aisle here in the U.S., were criticizing Biden on the ceasefire that was announced between Hamas and Israel, and both left and right personalities were claiming that Trump really had a heavier hand in negotiating that deal. This didn't stop Biden from trying to claim the victory on that one. Also, anybody with a brain and some common sense, or I should call uncommon sense nowadays, knows that the economy is worse now than when Donald Trump was in office for his first term. To give you an anecdotal example, a dozen eggs here at my local grocery store, as of yesterday, was like $4 a gallon. Eggs was $4 a gallon yesterday. No, it was $4 per dozen eggs. And according to a quick search on the Brave browser, the average cost of eggs in January of 2021 was $1.47 a dozen. So I was originally wrong with my guesstimation of $2 a dozen. It was less than that. So a dozen eggs has more than doubled in the last 4 years. Okay? That's just one item. You do that with eggs, milk, chicken, ground beef, steaks. You start adding $1, $1.50, $2 to everything, and you see your grocery bill has doubled, if not tripled, in a short amount of time. So, if anybody is still trying to argue that the economy is better now than it was, laugh at them, because they're either lying to you or they're just stupid. Man. So, speaking of criticizing politicians, this one's fun. Dan Crenshaw, everybody's favorite one-eyed Texan, sent a cease and desist letter to the Drinkin' Bros podcast over their comments made about Dan Crenshaw's dealing in the stock market since he's been an elected representative of the people. Or, I'll use that title very loosely. While on the surface this seems petty, I see the bigger issue here is a sitting member of Congress going after people who criticize them. And this guy is a Republican, by the way, and a heavy emphasis on the quotes there. So, last week I talked about Mark Zuckerberg having this 180 on, censorship on all meta platforms, although, let's face it, nobody's really using Threads, but if you think that the powers that be are just going to sit back now and allow people to have free speech on the internet and not try to censor people, you are sorely mistaken. And I encourage you to continue to criticize politicians, as is our right, granted by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. So yeah, if you're on Twitter or anything like that, go ahead and let Dan Crenshaw know how you feel about his service to the people of America since he's been in elected office. Obviously, no threats of physical violence toward him, his family, or anybody who works for him, but just let him know how much of a piece of shit he is. Okay, so this is a 180, and I know it's going to sound hypocritical at first, but I'm going to explain this a little bit more. For a while now, some people in the U.S. have called for a ban of TikTok, and it looks as if TikTok as an app that people can use in the United States is going away. The Supreme Court of the United States upheld arguments for the TikTok ban 9-0. So there was no dissenting opinion on that one. While we know for sure that the U.S. government is spying on people, as you know, the Twitter files came out when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and Mark Zuckerberg has said now twice on the Joe Rogan podcast about government people applying pressure to them. You know, at least in the U.S., you still have the option to file lawsuits against American companies who are breaking the law and illegally spying on people, and or petition the government for a redress of grievances, again, stated in the First Amendment to the Constitution. The difference here is that TikTok is deeply intertwined with the Chinese government, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and there's nothing that people can do about them just gathering your data and using it however they see fit. So I don't understand any argument about how a foreign country should have that much influence over people here. A great example was when the Osama bin Laden's letter to America went viral on TikTok. While some of his arguments were valid, you know, the U.S. government just going all over the world, all over the Middle East, and just wreaking havoc and doing things they want to do, siding with an Islamic terrorist is deeply concerning to me. And a foreign government like China's government allowing stuff like that to proliferate in the U.S. is a big concern to me. Also, it's been noted before, too, that many government agencies have banned the use of TikTok on, like, government phones and stuff. Like, you know, if you work for FBI or CIA or, you know, you're just on a military base, like, you can't have TikTok on your phone. So, like, it just boggles my mind how people are still defending the use of TikTok here. With all this being said, a new app has popped up that is commonly known here in the States as Red Note, but the direct translation from the Chinese wording to English is Little Red Book, which is a direct correlation to Mao's Little Red Book. Let's not forget that because of communism in China during the 20th century, millions of people died due to starvation. If I'm correct, I also did a video, a while back, talking about how communism has not and never will work. One of them being in China because of Mao Zedong and their Great Leap Forward, which caused some like 40 million people to die of starvation. So, to wrap this little story up here, if you have a friend or family member using this new app Red Note, you need to shame them for being fucking stupid, okay? And please educate them on how communism has never worked. The only thing that communism does is cause people to lose weight. But, you know, lose weight, starve, like, there's a fine line there. And I, for one, I don't want to find that fine line myself. So, moving on. Donald Trump says that he wants to create another agency called the External Revenue Service, which would oversee money paid to the U.S. government by foreign governments in, you know, the form of tariffs and stuff. I personally don't want another government agency to be formed because they never go away. Look at you, Homeland Security. And I'd rather just see the current agencies do their job. However, if we're being realistic about this is probably Trump just trolling the media again and just stirring shit up like he likes to do. But speaking of Donald Trump, the inauguration ceremony will be held indoors, and some are claiming that it is due to cold weather that is moving into the DC area by Monday. While this may be the case, the timing of this also seems kind of interesting, and it also seems more like a security issue, if you will, which I kind of agree with. I mean, look at what happened to him in Butler, Pennsylvania. Look at what happened to him at the golf course. You know, two assassination attempts on him, one of which the shooter actually got rounds off, and Trump was struck in the ear. So maybe it's a move for security reasons. Maybe it's due to the cold. I don't know. But I wouldn't want to be out there in the cold like that. And I'm 28. Donald Trump is, 78, 79. So who knows? I wish him the best, and I hope it all goes off without a hitch. So these last two stories here are going to get a little spicy. And I am not going to mince words or use politically correct speech because I'm going to address things exactly how they are. Nancy Mace put forward another bill in Congress that would give the green light to deport illegal aliens who've committed sexual crimes here in America. This is a new bill after a bill was shot down recently. And this new bill was yet again voted down by 145 Democrats. This, again, is beyond infuriating and should make everyone question where their priorities lie. This was a federal bill, by the way. On that same vein, a court in Connecticut recently paroled an illegal alien who was a convicted pedophile because they, quote, wanted to help him not get deported, end quote, even though he admitted that he would probably reoffend, i.e. he would probably go rape another child. Again, why do we keep entertaining this stuff? For as much as people criticize the criminal justice system, why do we keep letting sexual criminals like this go? You cannot rehabilitate these people. You can't. And I don't care what their skin color is, nationality, what God they claim to pray to. If you are caught raping a child, you should be... Forget locked away. Forget just being locked away for life. I don't even want taxpayer money going to feed people for the rest of their lives who have raped children. People who rape children should be executed. Full stop. I don't care. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care. And I don't care, like I said, what God you claim to pray to or where you've come from. If you hurt children like that, you should be put to death. And I know it's a cliche argument, but if a dog bites somebody and they do it too many times, the dog is put down. Why is the same logic not applied to grown men who prey on children? It's just fucking infuriating. Oh, I know why, because, plenty of Catholic priests would probably be on the receiving end of that. Or, there's been plenty of non-Catholic preachers and pastors and whatever who've been caught doing the same thing. So yeah, this isn't a problem just in the United States, by the way. Apparently the UK government is now routinely not punishing nor investigating grooming gangs in their country, but they're still putting people in jail for criticizing the government and or just sharing dumb memes on social media. One prominent figure who has been the recipient of this tyranny is a man by the name of Tommy Robinson, and he has been ran through the ringer of the courts in the UK over his heavy criticism of the government just looking the other way on pedophiles in the country instead of, dealing with these sickos for their crimes. So, yeah, it's... I hate to sound like Alex Jones or, some kind of crazy conspiracy theorist, but man, when you see these stories here of politicians in the US and the UK just letting pedophiles go with a slap on the wrist, it really does make you think like, man, there are some sick, perverted people that just want power. And it just boggles my mind. So, I have rambled long enough. I've gotten myself worked up now. I am going to cut the video here. Like I said up top, let me know your comments below and share this with people who, just don't really pay attention to the news and stuff, because those are the people who need to hear this kind of thing. And that's why I call these videos News for Normies. So, alright, with that being said, y'all take care, and I will see you all next time.